In this video, I'm going to talk about INFJ's fear of not seeing reality accurately. So this is a fear that all types that lead with a perceiving function can have, because when you lead with one perceiving function, that means that your weakness is also a perceiving function, and it means that your way of seeing the world is technically out of balance in some way. So for example, we're an INFJ or an INTJ. There's this thing with Introverted Intuition. It's kind of this function that makes you almost live in like some sort of fantasy world, because it is so focused on things that aren't real. But as Jung said, it is one that can contain actual real possibilities. INFJs might have this issue with a certain quality of introverted intuition. So first of all, introverted intuition is focused a lot on patterns that are subconsciously seen and remembered and used to first of all understand the meaning behind things. But it also uses these patterns to predict the future. And we also kind of need to do this in a way, because using introverted intuition as your first function means that, just like all the IJs in general, it's hard for us to take in a lot of new information at the same time, because extroverted sensing is our last function. And that means, usually all the IJs have their way of coping with that and like still managing to function normally as far as it's possible. Do INFJs even function normally? That's the real question. They still manage to function, because whenever they don't manage to take in enough information from their environment, they use their predicted future to kind of fill it in. And we like to go into situations with a prediction. This is also why INFJs might feel like they need some mental preparation before they do something. All the IJs might need this, because they're bad at just responding in the moment without any kind of prediction. So the problem with this is that we might get into situations where our prediction was very accurate and we don't even notice that we had one in the first place, because it matched anyway. But it can also happen that it was totally not accurate, and because NI is our first function, it can feel really real to us. So we might have a prediction and be kind of confused or kind of shocked that the reality didn't match the prediction, and that apparently we saw reality wrong, and it can feel like that. And that can kind of feel like we can trust ourselves to know the truth about things, about reality. And this is not just with like situations, but it's also with knowing, with like just assuming information about things. When we don't know enough, we will just try to fill in the gaps naturally and build a whole picture from that little amount of information, because that's what we're good at. We take a little bit of information and then we try to build a picture from it that makes sense. And I want to show this in a picture that I drew. Here I have visualized NI and SE. So SE will just collect information, and the weird thing about NI is that since it's not really focused on real things, it's only focused on building some kind of picture, which I illustrated with like this picture of a world. It will, for example, have discovered a certain pattern from this information and then be like, okay, from this pattern I can conclude that this is likely the case, or that this is likely going to happen in the future because I see this pattern. And therefore it builds a certain picture, which is like an expectation of how things are or how things are going to be. And the problem is that, of course, this whole expectation, it can vary in how accurate it is. And it can, when it's accurate, it can give us a lot of valuable insights about the world or about people. But I think with NI, there's this thing where it really matters how much data you have on a subject. So, for example, if you're going to start predicting something for something you don't know that much about, NI is going to try to build a conclusion that's complete anyway. So it will give you a picture like the first one that's a bit off. And to us, it might seem like it's pretty realistic because NI is really good at visualizing something, even if we've never seen it before. So it might seem realistic, and we might not realize that some stuff is not, doesn't make sense or is missing, like this world that doesn't really look like how the world truly looks. And then, the other picture shows that when we do have enough data on a certain subject, the world might look really accurate, and then NI might actually be really useful. So I'm going also to compare us with the extroverted sensor dominance. So like an extroverted sensor, even though we as an INFJ, we might be afraid that we're not actually seeing reality. The thing is that, of course we are reluctant to take in information, but we can learn to be a bit less reluctant to do that, right? And in theory, if we would have just as much information on a topic as an extroverted sensor, for example, would have, they would not know more than us. But the difference is that we had an expectation in the first place. So extroverted sensors, they usually don't have any big expectations when they go into a new situation or when they try to know something about something. To know something like about a topic. An INFJ might immediately have an expectation already. An extroverted sensor will just take the facts without they didn't have any expectation beforehand. They will just go into a new environment, a new territory with no expectations or no big ones that they trust. So they can't feel like, oh no, my picture of reality doesn't match, because they did not have any expectation of reality to begin with. And the thing is with us, when we're really sure about something, we often have this strong feeling about it, we just know. And we can kind of feel that, like a gut feeling or something. It only becomes a problem when you're really neglecting your fourth function. We don't have to use our fourth function a whole lot, but we just should not neglect it. And then it should be fine. So that was what I wanted to talk about in this video. Goodbye.